You're probably thinking this was a superhero movie, but that guy in the suit just turned that other guy into a fucking kebab. Surprise! This is a different kind of superhero story. To tell it right, we gotta take you back before I squeeze this ass into spandex.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 8 of the Pseudo Nerd Podcast for February 26th, 2016. I am your podcast host, Josh Kiser, and joining me today is the ever-serious Josh Haddix.
Hello, ladies and germs.
And the currently under-the-weather Kyle Hoagland.
Yeah, we'll see how far this goes.
So, well, we know Kyle's not feeling too well today. Haddix, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. I really wanted to drop a "that's what she said" when Hougie just said, "We'll see how far that goes," but I don't know if that was overused. Overused joke?
Well, yeah, it's fine. I mean, with today's topic, I feel like, sex jokes, that's what she said jokes, obscene jokes, things like that will be really relevant. So I would have allowed it.
Very true. That would have been a good segue if we were there yet, but we're not there yet.
We are not there yet. We have a ways to go.
It's way too early for segues.
So I want to open things up with a quick correction. I end every show, with my closing, saying something from the, Northeast Ohio to the San Francisco region in one way or another. And last week, because it was the NBA podcast, I said from the now defunct Cleveland Rockers to the now defunct San Diego Spiders. And obviously I got a lot of hate mail and, angry tweets and flaming Facebook posts, or I'd like to believe I got all that. But obviously when I said San Diego Spiders, I meant San Jose Spiders. It was a slip of the tongue. Obviously I was referring to the very relevant, successful franchise that was the San Jose Spiders in the National Women's Basketball Association. So that is my mea culpa on that one. I apologize for all the San Jose Spiders fans out there that I may have misinterpreted and misspoke on your team's city origin. My apologies.
I'm pretty sure all the fans of San Jose Spiders, which by the way is now a ultimate frisbee team. I'm pretty sure as far as back when the San Jose Spiders were a basketball team, I'm pretty sure the fans were probably just parents, loved ones. I can't even imagine. I think when that league actually finally ended, they only had 2 teams anyways.
I mean, how would you feel if there was only 2 teams and you were the team that did not win?
They weren't good either. I think they went like 2-12. They had like a 14-game season, which also, right there.
Yeah.
You're not getting a whole lot of traction on 14 games.
So, again, I just wanted to, if there's one thing here at the Pseudo Nerd Podcast we want to be, it is accurate, and I was not accurate, so I just wanted to make my editorial correction on that one. And if you guys ever notice anything like that and you want to give us a shout-out or, say, guys, you were wrong, here's the truth, feel free to shout at us on Twitter at Pseudo Nerd Pod, make a comment on Facebook, our Facebook page. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Go ahead and leave us a review on the iTunes Music Store. Give us that rating, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. That way. Also, the nice thing about subscribing is you turn your phone on Friday morning, you load that up, boom, it's downloaded, it's ready to go, and you don't have to even worry about it. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to do any of that. So
you don't even have to listen to it.
That's true. We're just looking for them downloads.
Just download that bad boy and let it sit there.
So I got to tell you guys a little story. All right. You know how Chipotle ran into some PR issues with their bad meat?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if you realize this or not, but if you texted them the word rain check to a particular number on your phone, you could sign up to get a free burrito. So I went ahead and took advantage of this, even though I'm more of a Qdoba fan myself, but the Qdoba by me closed once Moe's opened up. So
that's sad, dude.
It's
That's
very
real
sad. I know. We used to go
I have
there all
one
the
less
time.
reason to come home and see you.
That brings your reasons down to 0 now, I think. So
I would say friendship isn't enough.
no, God no. But Qdoba is enough. So I get my free burrito from Chipotle, and so I get this coupon that goes onto my phone, and you put it into that. Have you guys ever used that the iPhone wallet?
I've not used it, but I know what you're referring to.
Okay,
I have stuff loaded on it. I've never actually used it yet, though.
Yeah, so it's there. It's nice. Like if you want to put your boarding pass, I put my Fandango ticket on there. That kind of stuff. I literally never use that thing though, so I forgot about it. And I realized today that this is the final day before that thing expires, and I'm like, well, I want to get my free burrito. So I went to Chipotle tonight, which I actually had already had dinner, but I wanted to make sure I still got my burrito. I'll just take it to work to lunch tomorrow, for lunch. So I get in there, and there's a little bit of a line. And the girl who is, sort of leading the pack. So everyone's been to Chipotle before. There's usually 3 to 5 people running the line. And there's that first person who asks you what you're going to get. And if you get a burrito, they steam the tortilla, and they kind of put your rice and stuff on there. So this girl is cute. She kind of reminds me of Rosario Dawson in the Lips and Teeth, if that makes any sense to you guys out there. But she, asked me, I want a chicken burrito. So she gets the tortilla out, she steams it up, she puts the rice and the beans, and she slides it along. Well, then the line's kind of backed up, so she stops and looks at me and was like, do you, what else do you want? And I was like, oh, all right. She's going to help me with the rest of the burrito. Something she didn't do for anybody else at this point, right? So, give me the hot salsa, give me the cheese. And I'm like, I want the sour cream. But because I'm going to reheat this, I don't want the sour cream on it. Because, you microwave sour cream, it goes to shit. So I said, you know what? Can I get the sour cream on the side? And she looked at me and she's like, absolutely, honey. I'll get that for you. I said, oh, all right. She'd call me honey. Like, things are getting pretty serious right about now. So I'm like, all right.
Your tortilla is not the only thing that's steaming.
Nice. So I get the burrito. She gets and I'm like feeling great. I'm like, all right. Like, I know you guys are both married, so you don't have to go with this whole like internal battle. Like, is this girl into me? Is she not? Do I ask her for her number? Do I say, what's going on tonight? So, these are the things that go through a single guy's mind, right? And then, of course, there's a woman behind me. And so then she gets my burrito all wrapped up, and she looks at the one behind me and is like, so, honey, what kind of burrito can I get for you? Oh, honey, do you want beans on this? Oh, honey, do you want this? And I was like, son of a bitch. So
The first thought that ran through your mind was, does she want to have a threesome with me and this lady behind me?
It wasn't.
I seem to not.
Good.
How old was this person that was kept calling you honey? Because I also have a hard time believing in the, the authenticity of a woman in our age bracket or even younger using honey.
Younger. I
Seems
know
to
that's...
me that she's using honey in a professional way.
I wouldn't have bought it that way. To me, professional honey is like from an older woman who's like old enough to be your grandmother or something like that.
Well, she also might have grown up where that word is just used a lot. Who knows? But I feel like if someone's really hitting on you or being flirtatious and is in your age range, I think honey is one of the last things that's actually used anyways.
You know what?
I don't hear honey that much anymore.
Well, it hurt a little bit. But I got my free burrito, so it wasn't all that bad.
That was a story. Great story.
You know what else had a great story is Deadpool, which is the topic of today's podcast.
Oh, wait. So much. We gotta drop a spoiler alert.
We do have to do that. So if you guys have not watched Deadpool yet, you should have. You are going to be one of few people who have not, because it's doing great right out there at the box office right now. but we're going to probably spoil it. I don't know. This is one of those movies that if we do spoil it for you, I think it's still worth going to see because it's not, Sixth Sense spoiler alert. It's not Bruce Willis is dead kind of spoilers that you're going to get where it's going to ruin the movie. It's, we might spoil a funny joke here and there. And the overall story, you'll see as we get on, I don't think anything that I could tell you the entire plot of the movie, and I think it's still not going to be well, you ruined it for me. I'm not going to go see it. I think it's just still so enjoyable.
Nothing really was surprising about the plot. It was a straightforward, plot. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, you probably don't want to listen to this anyway. I mean, let's be honest. No one's going to listen to this.
I'll say you don't want to listen to this if you are a fan of just life and not wasting time.
Or you've seen the movie or have not seen the movie, you still don't want to listen to this podcast. So
that is correct. Yeah, absolutely. So, Deadpool, for those of you unfamiliar with him, and maybe you even saw the movie and you didn't realize this going in, but Deadpool is not your mama's comic book character. He is what they like to call the anti-hero. He's not Superman. He's not going to go out there and save the world and make sure nobody gets harmed in the process. He's going to kill the villains. He's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do. He's obscene. He's vulgar. I mean, he makes sex jokes. He cusses. And one of the things he did, even in the comics, is he breaks fourth wall, which for those of you who don't know that term, basically he looks to the audience and sort of breaks character. He knows that he's a comic book character. He knows that he's being watched in a film or a TV show or in a comic. And he looks at you directly as the viewer or the reader or the listener and speaks to you directly at times, which is definitely something unique where a lot of these, like a typical story, they have no idea that they're not real. But he does. And it adds a certain dimension to the movie, to the comics, what have you. And it's definitely an added feature that you don't see. So I think it's a very unique concept. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add to the Deadpool character or what you think if I forgot anything.
No, I mean I think that's basically kind of sums it up what you would expect going in. So
I think the cool thing about breaking the fourth wall is it kind of opens up a lot of doors as far as jokes are concerned because he does go in and he speaks about, I think right in the beginning of the movie, there's the magazine of Ryan Reynolds was sexiest man alive and just things like that where he will go in and even talk about Ryan Reynolds who plays Deadpool, and it probably in reality in the Marvel universe there is no Ryan Reynolds. So I guess it opens up being able to make fun of real life things because he has the ability to go fourth wall and make fun of our universe as well as make jokes about actual people in his universe too.
Yeah, it's a great point. And speaking of Ryan Reynolds, so as Kyle alluded to, he plays Deadpool. And this is not actually the first iteration on the silver screen of Deadpool. He was introduced in Wolverine Origins. For the 17 people of you out there that may have actually watched that movie, first of all, I was one of those. And second of all, I'm sorry, because that movie was a piece of shit. I don't know if you guys disagree with that or not.
For what it's worth, I think more people might have seen the movie. I think there might be 17 people, and that 17 people doesn't even include Hugh Jackman, who plays Wolverine, that actually enjoyed that movie because it was horrendous.
That's fair too.
How many Wolverine movies were there? There was Wolverine Origins.
He's done two.
What was the second? What was the second?
It was
one?
just called Wolverine.
Yeah,
Is that the one where
he
fights? Where he fights a bunch of Asian people.
Yeah, it was supposed to
Well, it took place in Japan, I think.
Yeah, there's a big part of Wolverine in the comics that kind of takes place in Japan, and that was kind of supposed to be on that. Again, I think a lot of people had high hopes for that movie, and it ended up being a turd as well. So
I gotta be honest, I did not see that.
I know there was two. I know there were two movies, and I don't remember if both of them were piles of shit. I was only told that Origins was really, really bad, but I wasn't sure if anybody after that movie anybody wanted to give the second movie even a shot or like a chance in hell.
It was better than the first one, but and to kind of try to steer back to Deadpool, I think one of the reasons the first one was so bad was how badly they depicted some of their characters, like Deadpool in Wolverine Origins.
I mean, to say they depicted Deadpool poorly gives a bad name to the term poorly, because they did an awful job depicting Deadpool. So like we were saying, he is the anti-hero. He breaks the fourth wall. And comedy, vulgarity, like that is Deadpool's, that is his thing. That's what he's known for. Yeah. I'm not going to say his MO. We said too much MO in the past. I'm holding off on MO. And then I said it 4 times right there. So, and what do they do? The guy, Deadpool's known for his witty humor and remarks. They sew his mouth fucking shut. Like, whose bright idea was that?
Whoever directed the movie or produced the movie. Something horrible.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
That may have been slightly rhetorical, but your input was stellar. So,
but at some point, this was in the
straight lace.
This is obviously that was in the script, because for those who haven't seen the movie, like, you know, that's kind of the main bad guy at the end. So
right, absolutely.
It got approved on every level. So, you know, everyone that approved it should be ashamed of themselves.
Absolutely, they should have. And so Deadpool. So we talk about he's the anti-hero. He breaks the fourth wall, et cetera, et cetera. But what are his actual powers? Deadpool has super human-like healing, I guess is the best way to say it.
I think they call it healing factor. It's kind of the same as like Wolverine type idea, where he has accelerated healing factor.
And I actually think it's even better than Wolverine's healing. Is that safe to say, Haddix?
That I am not sure of, because I've never been I'm not as big of a Marvel fan, and let alone Deadpool. I mean, because like we've been talking about how he's kind of, even though in the comics he's in the Marvel universe, he's just so different that he's not used all the time. So I don't really know a whole bunch about his origins, but Wolverine is supposedly the best, you know, healer ever. Like you can't kill him in a sense.
Right.
So,
and I guess from things I've read on Deadpool, he's supposed to be immortal himself. So,
yeah.
They could be in the same thing. And the story goes, and we don't have to dig too deep into it, but they were both created from the same facilities, things like that. So that's why they develop similar abilities.
Yeah, they're both endowed with the Weapon X, which is supposed to give them both a healing factor.
Right, yeah. And so now in this movie, as we start to dig into the actual Deadpool movie itself, they really don't talk about Weapon X here. So I don't know if they say his origin is the same as it was previously, but it doesn't matter. He got his abilities in some sort of facility that does questionable testing and experimentation and things like that. So whether it's Weapon X or not, they really don't specify. Maybe they will in future movies. I don't know. But he's operated on. And as the trailers and things allude to, the character Wade Wilson, who's actually his alter ego, or his main, that's who he is dying of like all kinds of cancer and real bad things. And he turns to this experimentation, things like that, is the only way that could save him. And we'll get further into that in a minute, but Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool in the Wolverine Origins under the hope, and sort of they were talking about making a spin-off Deadpool movie. Well, that Wolverine Origins Deadpool character in the movie itself was such shit that kind of got canned. And as time passed on, they tried to still like, hey, we kind of want to make this Deadpool movie. So they started leaking scripts online, and then finally leaked like a little bit of footage and things like that of like what they wanted the Deadpool movie to be. And fans just went nuts and said like, this is Deadpool, this is what we want. And from there, Fox sort of greenlit the project. Do you think the leaked footage was intentional?
Oh, I think so, definitely. I think it's a classic, try to get it out there, see what people think. Kind of how they've done, I don't know, I guess more recently, because this was like 11 years ago, but that Punisher clip that they tried to release with the original guy that played Punisher in it.
The one where he's like at the washing, like
yeah,
the laundromat?
Like, and it's just real badass, and everyone's like, God, I'd love to see him, them come back with a movie with him in it. It's your classic. I don't know if that one was, quoted as, what's the word I'm looking for? Like leaked. I don't know if it was classified as leaked or they released it on purpose themselves, but same thing. I feel like you put it out there, you gauge the reaction, kind of go from there,
And it worked great. I mean, it went nuts. And Ryan Reynolds, people think or thought going into it that, and I would agree at this point, even after watching the movie, that this role was born for Ryan Reynolds. This is the Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. I mean, he was meant to play this role, and it very well could not only revitalize his career, but kind of save his career, because what else outside of Van Wilder has Ryan Reynolds done that's worth something?
No, I'd agree. I think he was in a couple rom-coms, if you will. And what pisses me off is, I agree, this role was made for him. I do also think he would have been a good Green Lantern had the script and story kind of been a lot better.
I agree. I'm one of the few people that actually didn't hate Green Lantern, and I
didn't either.
Hopeful for a second movie because I thought that would have been a much better movie. But I think if I had the choice, I'd have him play Deadpool over Green Lantern.
I agree. Now that, I mean, this was at that time, Deadpool he was definitely a better Green Lantern than he was a Deadpool in the first and Wolverine Origins.
I think I was a better Deadpool than he was a Deadpool.
So with that, basing that and Green Lantern, I thought he would have been a good role for that. But you're right. I mean, that tanked because the script was real bad, too much CGI, all that kind of shit. And he nestled right into this role, and I agree. I think it's going to rejuvenate his career.
And they've sort of alluded to it. That there's going to be sequels. Now, for people out there who are like, okay, this is a Marvel movie, so when does it tie into Avengers? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not going to. So, to kind of try to keep things from getting too confusing, basically, Marvel's characters are owned by multiple studios. It's the reason why Spider-Man is in his own universe with his characters. It's why X-Men have been in their own universe. It's why Fantastic Four hasn't been with anything. And then you've got the Disney Marvel universe, where they've been the Iron Mans, the Thors, Captain America, Hulk, all that tied together. Disney Universe is the biggest one for Marvel, and that's why they have all the Avengers, things like that. They're the television shows, they're the Netflix shows, all that. But then Fox owns the rights to certain things. That's the X-Men universe. That will be where Deadpool falls into. And I think that's also where Fantastic Four, unfortunately, is at this point. Spider-Man now is interesting because he's owned by Sony, and somehow Disney and Sony made a deal, so he's going to start to play a role into the Marvel universe. I don't know all the contract behind that, but there's certain characters borrowed here and there. So you won't see Deadpool in any Avengers movies at this point, unless something changes down the line. But I would not be surprised if you see him in future X-Men movies.
Which, if that's going to be the case, too, then you really got to be careful with the PG-13 labeling because chances are if they're going to do an X-Men movie with Deadpool, they're not going to make it rated R. They're probably going to have to just really push the envelope with the PG-13 rating.
And I think so. We'll talk about that right now. Deadpool was rated R. I think you can get away. I think if he's in other movies that aren't Deadpool headline movies, you can make him PG-13, and Deadpool becomes a side character. He doesn't curse as much. He doesn't make sexual innuendos as much. He keeps it a little more PG-13 basically, and you're fine with it. But on his own separate movies, that's when you have the freedom to go R, to make it gory, to make it vulgar as they please. And this was kind of a little bit of a risk. When you come to comic book movies, a lot of them aren't rated R. I mean, most of them aren't rated R. And Ryan Reynolds was, I give Reynolds all credit for this. I mean, this was his baby from day one. He pushed for this. He marketed this. He fought for this. I mean, he put his career on the line, and it paid off for him. But he fought for rated R and got it. And I don't know. Do you think this movie could have been made PG-13?
No, I don't think so at all. I think in order for the amount of popularity that it got, I think it would have been very disappointing for the fans who were pushing, especially after they've already seen a lot of the leaked footage, the scripts. I don't think there would have been so much excitement if it wasn't so edgy and it wasn't something that was so different. It just had like a different level of just badass that people were going to be excited about when the movie was going to come out. I mean, that is Deadpool, and if you're going to water it down, a lot of the comic book fans of Deadpool already are going to be turned off by it.
Yeah, I agree, and it's could they admit? And they said they had a PG-13 script if they had to go PG-13. But I don't think it would have been as effective. And it's not like they're out there saying, fuck this, fuck that, yeah, kill this, blowing heads off or anything like that. Like, it was really well done, but it was vulgar without having to seem too vulgar. It was, the sexual jokes were hilarious. Like that. So, I work with a guy. He's probably in his mid-40s, and I was talking to him like on Monday following the opening weekend for Deadpool, and he had a Marvel coffee mug, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's Spider-Man. He's like, yeah. He's like, I went and saw Deadpool this weekend. I was like, oh, I loved it. What'd you think? And he's like, I took my 14-year-old daughter and her friend to that movie. And I said, ooh, and he's like, yeah. I had no idea that it was going to have, like, the gratuitous sex scenes that they had in it. And I started laughing because it's like, he's like, I don't mind the cussing, for that. And he's like, but it was really awkward sitting there next to your daughter while Ryan Reynolds is getting pegged on the big screen.
Yeah, I forgot about that scene. But yeah, I feel like I think either Ryan Reynolds put something out or oh my God, I'm having some brain farts today. The studio put something out. I can't remember which one, but basically said like, hey parents, this is a rated R movie. Keep that in mind when you take your kids, or go see it before you take your kids. Like, it's rated R and it's rated R for a reason. He didn't want people to take their kids and then be mad. So they start writing into the studio or reviewing the movie saying, oh, this is a horrible movie, kind of get all this negative feedback so that they don't make a second one. Kind of like, hey, be smart about it. Be a good parent. And
right. Yeah, exactly.
Check in on the movie.
And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Not every movie is made for kids. I mean, I know it's a superhero movie and typically they are, but just got to be smart about it.
Like
let alone young teenage girls.
This is not your typical superhero movie from the character himself to the rating, everything like that. And if this movie was kind of gory at times, and they like that one body in the motorcycle that like the guy like splats up against the road sign and falls down, like in certain movies that would be like, oh, that's so gross. In this movie it was like funny, like they were able to make it, the goriness have a hilarity behind it. And could they have done this PG-13? Maybe, but I feel like it would have been a disservice to the fans, and it would have been a disservice to the character if they tried to censor him. And I'm glad that they went R, and I think it paid off well for them.
Well, obviously, it's the highest-grossing R-rated movie in history, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it may have just passed Passion of the Christ, or it's just about to get there. So, literally bigger than Jesus at this point. So,
man, dude, that's bold. That's bold.
And I wouldn't be shocked if for the sequel that they don't put that somewhere in the movie.
That's true.
That is true. I could see them doing that. Yeah.
And that's
Once again, fourth wall. You can make a joke about a movie that really doesn't exist in the Marvel universe.
That was what was great about this movie, is they were able to make jokes like that, and they could pretty much nothing was off limits, between the R rating and just the character and the way you can break fourth wall and do that. They can explain everything they wanted to explain by making a joke out of it, and it worked. For instance, like I said, this is in the X-Men universe, so he multiple times he goes to the Xavier school, and it's literally Colossus, and what's the chick's name? I can never remember her name.
I don't remember it either.
I had it up. It's Mike's. I don't know. I'll keep talking. I'll find it.
Okay, so they're the two X-Men characters that are in it, and you're like, okay, well, he's got two X-Men characters in there. But then he keeps showing up to the school, and he literally, the one time he makes the comment like, wow, big school, and somehow you are the only two that I ever see when I'm here. It's almost like the studio couldn't afford any other X-Men. And it's like jokes like that if you were just watching this movie normally and you couldn't break fourth wall, you'd be like, well, where the hell's Wolverine? Where's Cyclops? Where's Beast? Like, why can't any of those characters show up? Here they can make a joke about it, and you think it's hilarious, and you laugh about it, and everything's okay.
Yeah.
Or where he, when his girlfriend takes off his mask and it's Hugh Jackman. It's like a little white piece of paper. It's Hugh Jackman on there.
He like stapled it to his face.
He stapled that thing. By the way, her name is Negasonic Teenage Warhead, or just Negasonic.
Yeah,
that's right. I knew it was something weird. Yeah. And then one of the best fourth wall comments I think he makes during the whole movie in reference to this X-Men thing is when they're taking him away and said, we're going to see Professor X, and he says, McAvoy or Stewart? Which timeline are we in? These things are so confusing.
Oh, God, that was awesome. That movie was so well done, like you said. So well done, especially with the jokes. And
the only thing I got scared about was this movie going to be too silly? And that was the only thing I was really, when I was going into it with my wife, and she's really into the comic book movies too. I did tell her this is not your normal Marvel movie, and she still enjoyed it. And the first thing that she said when I asked her how she thought of it, she said that I'm glad it wasn't silly. It was funny, but it wasn't a comedy. It was still properly a comic book movie with a lot of jokes that were appropriate for the character, but a lot of people were thinking this was going to be because it's Ryan Reynolds and whatever, that this was going to be more of like a comedy, like it's something like slapstick. And I was very happy that it was not.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, because it was my concern as well. As I went into this movie knowing that it was going to be funny, kind of gory, not taking themselves seriously, but I was worried that it was going to be too many fart jokes and penis jokes, and it would be sort of immature and forced comedy, sort of like Transformers 2 was, in my opinion, where they tried way over the top to be funny, and it just became stupid and almost cringy.
Dude, I was about to say, I don't remember penis jokes in Transformer 2, but...
No,
But no,
they had plenty of other jokes, but it was that
I know,
concept.
it was cheesy. Yeah, real cheesy. Yeah, I'm with you.
Like when the mom got stoned off pot brownies and things like that. Like it was like they're trying way too hard to be funny, and it was just came off as annoying. But this, I think it flowed really well. And to your point, Kyle, it was funny, and you were laughing pretty much the whole time, but you're still enjoying the movie. You're engrossed in the story. There's plenty of action. You're not just sitting here. You're not watching a comedy. You're not watching just a straightforward action movie or a comic book movie. You're watching this own sort of formula for a movie. And it's one that I don't think can be copied by any other comic book movie.
No, I agree. It will be, at least for the foreseeable future, in its own class. I mean, it is, like you said earlier, they took a big risk making this movie, making it rated R, and I think it's paid off huge. I think the second one will be even better than this one. I think it'll probably make more money than this one, just because people will be excited for it, and it's got its own little niche in the market. That's for sure.
Right.
Well, it had a huge internet following. That's the one thing too, that probably the last 3 years, and it might have had to do also with everything that was being leaked and Ryan Reynolds trying to get it out there, but you couldn't get past a comic book form of any sort without some big mega threat about Deadpool. So Deadpool was on everybody's mind probably for the past 5 years. So it was good to finally see the movie. It didn't disappoint, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it lived up to the hype, which is something a lot of movies can't do. That said, the sequel's going to have huge hype behind it, so hopefully it's not a letdown, but that's into the future. We don't have to talk about that right now. To your point, Kyle, with the internet, it had a huge internet following, which is probably part of the reason why it was so successful and why it was greenlit to begin with. And then the marketing for this movie, as it started to, they promoted as it came out, I thought was fantastic. There was no
trailers. It was all basically just Deadpool breaking the fourth wall and talking to us. Like it would be like certain like holidays, like Valentine's Day or National Australia Day, and like just random things that he would just have a commercial about, where he would just be sitting in an armchair with his like legs crossed, just chatting with us. Like that was their way of marketing the movie, which was crazy.
Well, my favorite was the billboards they had, where it was a picture of Ryan Reynolds and Morena Baccarin, who plays the female lead, his love interest in the movie. And they're kind of just holding each other and smiling. It's got this like autumn feel around it. And it's like, this Valentine's Day, here's your love story, and it's Deadpool. And like, if you had no idea what Deadpool was, like they probably tricked a lot of like girls into saying like, hey, boyfriend, do you want to go see this Deadpool movie? It seems like it's going to be a cute romantic comedy, like the next Nicholas Sparks movie. And they were probably in for a surprise.
Did anyone notice too that Morena Baccarin was also Chloe or Crazy Eyes from How I Met Your Mother?
I mean, I knew that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know her from like many other things, but
yeah, she's in Firefly and shit too.
I just remember seeing. I was just saying when I was watching the movie, I'm like, that face is really familiar, and then I went home and looked it up. I'm like, oh, she was in How I Met Your Mother. That's cool.
Yeah, she was in Firefly. She's in Gotham right now. She was in Homeland, and she gets naked in this movie. So even another bonus right there.
Isn't she also the voice of a comic or like a
Talia
a DC
Ghul?
hero? Yeah, that's right, Talia.
Mm.
You just piqued Haddix's interest with that one.
You know what? We don't need to talk about DC Comics right now, all right?
We'll have plenty of time for that in the future.
How about, let's talk about the other characters in this movie. Colossus was obviously, probably the next big superhero in this one. And was he in just X-Men 3, or was he in other X-Men movies too? Do you remember, Haddix or Hougie?
I think he was in maybe 2 and 3, at least 3.
So, what did you think about his character in this one compared to the other movies that he was in?
Well, I feel like it was a Deadpool version of Colossus. You know, it's kind of one of those things where he was kind of a little bit goofy himself as well. Like the part where I can't remember her name in it, but is it Gina Carano? Is that the actress? The MMA fighter?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know her name.
Kind of the bad guy's sidekick or whatever. Like they don't show it, but at one point, like her boob pops out, and you know he's like, "Oh God, your boob," you know, like kind of like real PG.
Yeah, it was very silly and kind of goofy.
Yeah,
right.
It's like it was like a Deadpool version of Colossus. But with that being said, I think it was cool. I think it was a cool portrayal of him. I don't know if that exact Colossus would be in an X-Men movie. You know what I mean? I don't know how they do that.
No, I don't think so, because I think if that Colossus was in X-Men 3, let's say, you'd be like, he's sort of doofy and stupid. Like that doesn't fit the movie. But he's a perfect role for the Deadpool movie when utilized like that.
Well, you see, he's also very very opposite of Deadpool. He's not sarcastic. He's very, very to the point, and he tries to try to talk Deadpool into doing the right thing and either joining the X-Men or showing compassion for his enemies, which obviously Deadpool never does.
And he was in X-Men 2 and X-Men: The Last Stand, also known as X-Men 3.
That's funny.
And
I was
Days
just
of
looking
Future
that
Past.
up. Yeah, I don't remember him in Days of Future Past.
I don't remember him in Days of Future Past either, but yeah, I guess he was in that.
Unless Wikipedia can be wrong, but I don't remember him being in it either. But it says here actor Daniel Kudmar portrayed Colossus in X2 and X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great detective work right there on our part. Are we all on IMDb looking right now at the same time?
No, I was on xmenmovies.wikia.com/wiki/Colossus. So that's where I was at. In case anybody out there wants to read up further on Colossus, that's where you go.
There you go. But yeah, I thought he was good in the movie. I think I don't know, the other girl, that supersonic girl that Hougie just said, I can't remember her name already.
It's Negasonic. I don't know what Nega means, but Negasonic.
I mean, again, she's probably a little bit different than she'd be in an X-Men movie, but I feel like first off, she didn't really say much anyway, but... And
that was her character, though, because he calls her out being that angsty... He goes, are you going to be the angsty teenager? Yeah. Yeah,
so I thought they were all... I thought the casting was great. I thought the whole movie was great. I enjoyed all the characters, so...
Anything you disliked about the movie? Was there anything, either of you, that kind of sticks out that you want to, vent your frustrations on right now? Maybe we can discuss that.
It's not anything I want to. It's nothing that I'm against. I understand that as in a Deadpool movie, you can't have some, I guess, real overpowering villain because it's Deadpool. Deadpool's not like a crazy superhero who can, lift buildings or do anything too crazy. For the most part, he's just a human being with mutant abilities. But I wasn't a huge fan.
Person.
I was. He's a person, but I wasn't really that big of a fan of Ed. Was it Ed Skrein? That
is that
played
the
Ajax?
actor's name?
Ajax.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Ajax or Felix. What was his name?
Francis.
Oh,
Francis. Yeah, Francis. I called him Felix.
I mean,
Francis.
I get it because that's the kind of guy that you're going to have in a movie to take on Deadpool is somebody with similar abilities, and someone that where you can have a stalemate kind of fight with. But I don't know. The villain part of the movie really didn't grip me that well.
I'll agree with you on that. I think it might be twofold. One, like you said, he's not going to take on, Apocalypse by himself, so you can't really do anything like that.
Well, he's not going to take Apocalypse on because Apocalypse is coming up in the new X-Men movie. That would be stupid to have him get defeated before the new movie came out. Bro.
That's an alternate universe, dude. So,
that's not true. That could be the same universe. We don't really know.
But I think it was more also based on the fact that, if this movie tanked, this was going to be the only movie. So, you can't really build to a bigger bad guy later on. You without knowing that it's going to come back. I think the second movie, and well, I guess everyone who's listening to this should have watched it, but they teased at Cable being in the next movie. And I think when you bring Cable into the mix, you could also bring more of a badass villain into the mix with him.
Bringing Cable into this opens up the doors for so many things because Cable time travels. So they could literally go wherever, whenever they want and bring in whatever and whoever they want as a villain. So it definitely opens many doors for them to walk through.
Agreed.
By the way, what are your guys' thoughts about? Obviously, if people who are pay attention to the character names and such, I think people would have recognized that Vanessa is also the name of that person. I forgot what the last name is, but it's the same alias as Copycat.
Yeah.
And I was very confused that they really haven't. I don't know whether or not they're going to play that card as well in the second movie, or they're just going to let her go the entire arc of never being Copycat. But I'm very curious as how that's supposed to kind of come to fruition.
Well, I mean, my only thought
curiosity killed the cat, so you might want to watch out on your curiosity.
Man.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah. My only thought is, like they gave Wade Wilson his powers, under extreme trauma, you can kind of turn into a mutant or whatever. They could always do that in the next movie.
See, I thought that's what was going to happen at the end of that movie when they put her in that they put her in that tube.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to make her do that. That's what was going to happen with her for a bit, and then she became Copycat through that. I thought that'd be kind of cool to like that.
But she was like copying how he got his abilities.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much. Yeah, good call there, Kiser.
Yeah. So.
Oh fuck! But
pat yourself on the back there.
I literally, what I do for the whole hour we give this podcast, I just sit here and I pat myself on the back because I'm like, dude, you are hosting a great podcast right now. That joke right there was awesome. That segue, nobody can do something better. I mean, believe me, if we had like a live feed into audience calls, they'd be lighting up right now and be like, I just want to call in and say that host, that guy's doing a great job.
Which one day we should do. We should tease a live one and then let people be able to talk to us.
I think we'll just be saddened when no one shows up.
Yeah, that'll be
literally
the
like
most humble
Shannon
podcast
forgets ever. And that's about all we got.
We'll have to have when two of us are talking, have the other one call in and act like they're a guest. Oh, hey, what's going on?
Hey, this is not Kyle Hogan right now, but I wanted to say that Kyle Hogan guy's cool. What's going on, dude?
I wouldn't even say that. I'll text my wife. And she's like, hey, can you call into this and pretend you're not my wife for a little bit?
She's like, she probably pretends that a lot. Doesn't she?
I was just going to say that.
Oh. She loves me.
Speaking of love, there's a love story involved in this whole movie. Did you enjoy the love story? Did you think it was, I don't know, I thought it was kind of a good love story.
I really enjoyed it. It was enough it would get you teary-eyed every once in a while, when he found out about the cancer in the doctor's office and he's staring at her, but then they would kind of always, right when they were getting a little emotional, they would kind of always steer it back, when he woke up in the middle of the night and he was kind of crying, and he made that joke about Liam Neeson being a bad parent because his daughter got taken 3 times or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they always brought the lightheartedness back.
Yeah.
Too quick for you to get too emotionally involved, but you could tell, from just the way the clips here and there, that the two of them had this great relationship with each other.
They did a good job at making it realistic that he would want to get this surgery to be with her, because he loved her that much. So they made you see that, so they did a very good job at that.
I mean, it's everyone. It's the classic American love story. It's a mercenary assassin at a bar meets a hooker and they go play skee ball, and next thing you know, they fall in love with each other.
And she puts it in his butt.
And the words of Josh Kiser, he just let life happen, and
life happens. I'm telling you.
He became a superhero.
So, as we're sort of winding things down with this talk, And in all seriousness, I don't think we've spoiled too much for those of you who have been listening the whole time. Like, we still got some time. We might still spoil a little bit here and there, but I don't think we've gone into too much detail on the actual happenings of the movie. But why don't you guys give me your favorite scene from the movie?
Well, for me, and there's a lot, and I'd have to see it again maybe to kind of really find that one I really liked. But throughout the movie, at least starting at one point, he always calls the bad guy Francis, which he doesn't like.
Yeah, he finally finds out that the guy says his name's Ajax the whole time, and then he somehow finds out his name is Francis, and the dude, like you said, the dude does not like that. So he makes it a point.
With the tag from like dry cleaning or something. Yeah, like that.
That's what it was, right? Yep. So he makes a point to call him Francis, just to piss him off.
Yeah, he kind of So one of my favorite parts was towards the end. He's got his girl, and it kind of rubs it in and is like, what's my name now or whatever, and he's like, I'll spell it out for you, and you don't know what that means right away, but he kind of kills all the dude's minions. And then when they like show Ajax again and he looks down from the top of this ship or whatever, he like dragged all the bodies in a way to spell Francis, which just kind of like came full circle with his joke, and it made me chuckle pretty good. So I enjoyed that.
The best part about that is he cut the one guy's head off and used the head for the dotting the eye. Yeah.
Like it was just like it was a good joke, and like right away you just think, oh, he just said I'll spell it out for you. That was the joke. But then later on, by later on I mean maybe a few minutes, 5 minutes or something like that. But he just used all their dead bodies to spell. It was just a great little jab at him again. I enjoyed it.
And also, it's a nice little nod to the the Avengers. I'm pretty sure what they were on was a grounded helicarrier.
It was, or at least that's what you're supposed to believe, but they never call it out because they couldn't.
Because they're not allowed to.
Because it's not the same universe, right? I mean, I guess they could. I guess they couldn't. Who's going to say anything about it? But you're right. That's a helicarrier there without being called out as a helicarrier. So that was a good catch.
As far as my favorite part of the movie, it's not really a part, but my favorite character actually in the movie was that blind black lady. And there are a couple really funny parts that I enjoyed. The one where Deadpool cuts off his own arm or his wrist just to get away from Colossus.
To break away, right, yep.
Yeah. And so he ends up going back to his little hideout with this blind black lady who, basically just complains of the fact that that she constantly hears him masturbating, and he puts his new hand, because he has the ability to heal, is starting to grow back, and it's like this little baby hand, and he's caressing
that baby
her face
hand
with that baby hand.
Was one of the creepiest things in the world when it first showed up.
Dude, I liked her. I did like the supporting cast a lot. I did like the bartender. God, what the hell is that guy's name?
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
This is how I come not prepared. I think it's like T.J. Miller or something like that.
That's his real name. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He was. He's very funny guy in that.
Yeah,
is it just me, or could T.J. Miller be Ryan Reynolds' like uglier brother? No,
I can see him being like a distant cousin of some sort. Sure,
that's fair.
Yeah. So what's your favorite? What's your favorite one then, Kiser?
So my favorite scene, Dopinder, is that the taxi driver's name?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So this poor guy is the taxi driver for Deadpool. And of course, you kind of get as Deadpool's like traveling in the taxi, which by the way is a great opening scene, because all these guys, you got Batman who's got his Batmobiles and his Batcopters and his Batplanes and all that other Bat things, and you got Superman who flies through the sky. You got Spider-Man who shoots his web and he's going from building to building, and then you got fucking Deadpool just chilling in the back seat of a taxi, just like cruising around. It's a great opening scene to just kind of give you – it really sets the tone for the whole movie. But he gets in there and he ends up climbing to the front seat, and he's talking to this guy, and it's, you know, your typical stereotypical taxi driver. He's of you know, some sort of Middle Eastern descent, and he's talking about. They start talking about love, and he's talking about, the taxi driver brings up that he's in love with this girl, but she's got this other boyfriend. And Deadpool, sort of being in typical Deadpool fashion, basically, you know, over time tells him, like, you need to go get her, like, fucking kill that guy, yada, yada, yada. And then there's a couple scenes throughout the movie. So finally, Deadpool loads up this duffel bag with, like, 1,000 guns in it, throws it into the taxi. Him, Colossus, and that chick whose name I still can't remember.
Negasonic.
She is the Porkins of their team. Ride in this
Ding,
taxi.
ding.
Yeah, I felt like we were getting near the end. I was a little worried there. So they ride into for this final fight, and then Deadpool's like, oh shit, I left the guns in the car. So he calls Dopinder. Dopinder drives. It's like, oh, you know, answers his phone, ends up getting in a car accident while he's on the phone. You find out not only does he have this duffel bag full of guns, but he also kidnapped that other guy who's got his woman under Deadpool's advisement. He gets in a car accident. He's got a duffel bag full of guns and a kidnapped person in his trunk. Like, I really wanted I thought for sure the scene after the credits was going to be like him talking to the cops about why he's got a duffel bag full of guns and a kidnapped guy in his backseat. Like, I hope in the sequel they bring him up and, like, he's in jail or something for being this, like, soft-spoken, nice taxi driver who's, like, now in prison for kidnapping, all these felony gun charges and things like that. Because I just thought that was just very funny. Just a lighthearted thing that was like a very small side story to the movie.
Yeah, that was a good touch. I did enjoy that.
So yeah, I mean, I think that sort of wraps things up. I think we gave our synopsis on Deadpool the character, and I don't think we spoiled it too much. I think it was bravo on everybody's part.
I think the only thing I'm curious now about is, because of the success of this first movie, I hope they don't take this and try to make some crazy Deadpool 2 where, like, they have a bigger budget to make like a better movie. I feel like the budget for the movie they just made was appropriate. And then if it doesn't make sense, I guess, to spend like $150 million on a Deadpool movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, I agree. I'm with you. Yeah.
And I think because Ryan Reynolds had such a hand in this one, he'll have such a hand in the next one as well, and he'll keep it a baby hand, much like his character in Deadpool, and not get too out of control with it.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, yeah, I think that's going to wrap things up. Don't forget, follow us on iTunes and Spreaker and YouTube, all that at Pseudo Nerd Pod. Instagram, give us some shout out, give us some feedback, all that. And next week, I think, Haddix, you're going to be out, right? So
yeah, I'm going to be in Florida. So
I think Hougie and I are going to find a little topic. We're going to give one more grab bag week, and then following that, as we hit the road to WrestleMania, we're gonna talk some wrestling as well here in the month of March. So it should be pretty good. Don't forget, give us some feedback. If there's a particular topic you want us to talk about, leave us a comment. Let us know. Maybe maybe Hougie and I will talk on it next week. Otherwise, we'll figure out something else to talk on.
Yeah, I'd be fine with a let the fan decide what we talk about. Get a hold of Shannon and see what she wants us to talk about.
There you go. From Merwin's Wharf to Fisherman's Wharf, I am Josh Kiser. He is Josh Haddix. And he is the ever sick Kyle Hoagland. We'll see you guys next week.
Oh, have a good Friday.
I need to figure out where Merwin's Wharf
Dude,
is.
I live here. I don't even know where that is.
See you later.
It's in Cleveland, guys.
All right.
Okay.